Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. We will be singing a Leela description of Radha and Krishna doing Jhulan as described by Jagadish Shri Kripalji Maharaj. Savan Maas Bahar Dekhu Sakhi श्रीमद युगल सरकार की जय। Churvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Divine souls. Yesterday we started this lecture with the topic, what is the original source of all suffering? So let me review some of what we went through yesterday. I explained that there are three types of suffering. We call Pap, Adhyatmik Pap, Adhidaivik Pap, Adhibhautik Pap. But out of all the different types of suffering we have, really mental suffering is the most important. Because if our mind is at peace, or if we feel mentally happy, then whatever is happening physically, we're not really affected by. We can deal with it. But even if everything is good physically in our world, if we are mentally disturbed, then we don't find happiness. So we have to find the source of our mental anguish. And although we heard many different types, like Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mad, Matsarya, Irshya, Dvesh, all these different mental afflictions that everybody suffers from, I explained that according to our scriptures, they all originate from kamana. They all originate from desire. Desire gives rise to greed if it's fulfilled, and anger if it's unfulfilled, and everything else comes from that. If you ask a normal person, is desire a bad thing? Ordinarily, people would not on their own be able to understand the true nature of desire. But if we really examine it, we see that when we are experiencing a desire, is that giving us happiness? No. When we're experiencing the desire, that feeling agitates our mind, and we feel a lack, that something is missing. So it makes us ashant. It makes us restless. So feeling the desire is not happiness. Then striving to fulfill the desire. Who likes hard work? So the striving part is not an experience of happiness either. Now, if we fulfill the desire through our hard work and we get that thing we want, then you would say that must be the experience of happiness. There is a momentary, fleeting experience of elation we could call happiness. But even that is not real happiness, because at the moment we're experiencing it, there's an underlying doubt. Is that it? This is what I was trying for? I thought there would be more. In other words, more happiness. I thought this was going to be it, the thing that finally made me happy. I strove for it, I got it, and even while we're in that moment of elation, underlying that is a sadness. This is it. Bas, itna hi. Even while we're enjoying it, we're wishing there was more. So is that really happiness? And then comes the fear of losing it. So now that we've gotten that thing, we set about protecting it. So is that happiness? Worrying, fearing, losing the thing that we love, that's not happiness either. And then, because sarve chayanta nichaya patananta samuchraya sanyoga viprayoganta marnantancha jivanam. Valmiki Ramayana. The nature of the world is that everything is temporary. Everything is nashwa, Nothing is stable in this world. So everything that you can get is going to end one day. Every sweet meeting is followed inevitably by separation. And even life is followed by death. So when the world is such a changing, unstable place, then why would we think we could hold on to anything forever? Nothing lasts forever, and that also makes us sad. Knowing that we're going to lose that thing, and yet trying to protect it, and then inevitably losing it, because that's the nature of the world. So you see, at every stage we're suffering. The desire, striving to fulfill it, even getting it in the moment of elation, we feel sadness that this is still not enough. Then trying to protect it and eventually losing it. And this is what we call happiness. This is our daily experience. But it's all based on desire. So the desire gives rise to all the agitation and stress of the mind. Desire. But then we saw there has to be a source of this desire. What is causing the desire in the first place? And we saw from our scriptures that that is attachment. Where we are already attached, the desire for that thing or that person arises on its own. You are attached to chai, therefore, many times a day you think of drinking chai. Why is that desire to drink the chai just arising on its own in your mind? Because you're already attached. If we're attached to a person, we think again and again of meeting that person. Why are we not thinking of meeting another person? Because we're attached to that person. So attachment is the cause of desire for any person or anything. Then we went even deeper into the subject. Where did that attachment come from? And we saw that it comes from repeated thinking. Very simple. Our mind is always thinking. Nahi kaschit charmapi jatutishtatya karmakrit. Gita. And the same shlok is in Bhagavatam. The mind never stands still for a moment. So we're always thinking something. And when we think positively about a person or a thing over and over again, then we get attached to them. We call that rag. And if we have a negative feeling towards them and we dwell on that again and again, then we have to develop hate for them. We call that dvesh. This duality, rag and dvesh, both arise out of repeated thinking. But the rag and dvesh are just two sides of the same coin. Both are forms of attachment. So, attachment arises how? Through repeated thinking. We weren't born attached to any person in this world, but through repeatedly thinking that this is my son, this is my... See, the husband and wife didn't know each other from birth. They met one fine day, decided to get married, or their families decided to have them married, and eventually they fought again and again. This person is mine, this person is mine, this person is mine, and then they got attached to each other. So we can create attachment with our own thinking. And we can also break that attachment. If our thinking changes, the person we love can become someone of no importance to us. If we realize that they're not fulfilling our self-interest, then we'll stop thinking positively about them and our attachment to them will disappear. Then the question became, why do we do this? Why do we think repeatedly of any person or anything? And the answer was, we're seeking happiness. This was how far we reached yesterday. That we all have an original desire for happiness, and wherever the mind has a
hope or makes a decision that I'll get happiness from this person or this thing, then we'll do repeated chintan. Oh, this person is good. They're going to make me happy. And we think that over and over again, millions of times. And through that, we develop mamata, apanapan. We develop love and attachment for that person, or even a thing. When we think repeatedly about anything, eventually we get to the point that I have to have it. We drive by the car dealership and we see that car that you saw it the first time. You thought, oh, that would be nice. I wonder if I could afford that. Then every day you're driving by it, see it again and again. Yes, I think I should have it. Yes, I should buy it. If I buy that car, I'll be happy. You thought it again and again and again. Eventually you went in and you had to have it. So where did that attachment to that car come from? Just by thinking. The first time you were attached, you saw it. Oh yeah, it's good. Second time, I think I should have it. And then it just went on from there. Same with a house. Anyway, by repeated thinking, we create attachment in our own mind. And that attachment gives rise to the desire for that thing. Then when we get that thing, we experience that fleeting happiness. So you see, even the experience of happiness is self-created in the mind. This is why Vishnu Puran says, Tasmad dukkhatmakam nasti naiva kinchit sukhatmakam. The mental experience of happiness and unhappiness, sukh and dukh, is self-created. It is not real in this way. I mean, it's a real experience for us, but it's not real in this way that we think, well, I'm experiencing happiness from this person, so that must mean there is happiness in that person. No, it's not in the person. And you created the whole experience in your own mind. Same when somebody you see, oh, I really don't like that person. You saw them and now you're burning inside. You're getting a lot of unhappiness by seeing this person. So you probably think, that person is full of unhappiness. That's why they're making me unhappy. No, it's all a self-created experience. The very same person is probably somebody's father. So when that child sees that person, they feel very happy. And you're seeing the same person and feeling so angry. Why? Your thinking is different than their child's thinking. The fact is there's neither unhappiness nor happiness in the person. The person is just the person. We think, if we think in a positive way, we get attached, then we desire to be with that person, then when we get their association and their affection, we feel happy. The person you hate, if they give you affection, does it make you feel happy? No. So get away from me. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Affection is affection. No, it's not. I want that person to give me affection, not this person. It's all dependent on our thinking. So, there's no actual happiness in any person or thing in this world. If there was, everybody would get the same amount of happiness from the same person and the same thing. But everybody gets a different experience based on if they have attachment to them and how much attachment they have. Or if they have a negative attachment, what we call hate, then they get the opposite experience. It's all based on our attachment, which was created by our thinking. And that thinking happens because we are seeking happiness. So it's our nature to seek happiness, and we either decide this person is going to help me get happiness, this person is of no use to me either way, or this person is preventing me from getting happiness. Accordingly, our thinking is either positive or neutral or negative to somebody. If we think this person is going to have no effect on my level of happiness either way, then we're neutral. We don't have any thinking about that person. We don't get attached at all. If we think they're going to help us find happiness, then we think positively of them and we get attached to them. We call that love. And if we think this person is preventing me from getting my happiness, then we think negatively about them and we get a hateful attachment to them. So, the desire for happiness causes all of this to happen. If we didn't desire happiness, we wouldn't think of any person or thing as a potential source of happiness, so we wouldn't do chintan of them, so we wouldn't get attached to them. Then there wouldn't be this repeated desire arising in our mind, and that wouldn't give rise to all the other mental afflictions. So the root cause of all of this, ironically, is the desire for happiness. So someone may think, then should we try to remove this desire for happiness? And our scriptures tell us this is impossible. If we understand why we desire to be happy, then we can know why it's impossible. You see, isn't it interesting that every living being desires happiness? It's not something that was even taught to us because we knew this at the time we were born. When we were born, we come into the world screaming. Why does every baby scream, cry? They're protesting against the pain they experienced during the process of being born. They're saying, I don't want this pain. Us dukh ko nikal rahe hain rokar. So, you see, even that newborn child knows, I don't like pain, I want happiness. So from the moment we're born, we know that. And even an insect, if you see an insect crawling across the ground and you put your hand over it, what does it do? It runs away from you. Even that insect knows, I don't want pain, I want happiness. So everyone from an ant all the way up to Brahma has this innate desire for happiness. The question is why? So Vedas give us a three-step logical explanation. The first step is that we are Ansh of Bhagavan. Chinmatram Shri Hare Ransham Sukshmamaksharam Avyayam Krishnadheen Miti Prahu Jivam Jnana Gunashrayam. Ved says every soul is Ansh of Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna also says Mamaivansho Jivaloke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manah Shashthani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshati. Shri Krishna says, all souls are my eternal Ansh. Ansh means a part of. Ansho Nana Vyapadeshat. Brahma Sutra also says that the Vedas tell us over and over again, souls are a part of Bhagavan. They are his Ansh. Ishwar Ansh Jiva Avinashi. Ramayana also tells us all souls are a part of God. So this is the first logical step. The second logical step is the relationship between Ansh and Anshi. God is our Anshi, we are his Ansh. Is that every Ansh is naturally attracted to their Anshi. Just like if this is a clump of earth, this is the Ansh, the earth is the Anshi. See, they're separated. But if I release it, what happens? The earth pulled it. The Ansh is naturally attracted to its Anshi. Every diya burns up. Why? Because its Anshi, the sun, is up there. So every Ansh desires its Anshi. Our Anshi is Shri Krishna, and he happens to be happiness personified. Anando Brahmeti Vyajana, Taittiriya Upanishad. Raso Vaisaha, Taittiriya Upanishad. The Vedas say at many places that the definition of God is He is Anand. He is happiness. That is His very substance. What is He made of? Happiness. So now think about us. We are Ansh of happiness. And every Ansh desires its Anshi. So this is the reason that we innately desire happiness. Now, such an innate condition cannot be changed. Such a, what we call swabhav. Swabhav is that which is inherent. It's like your DNA. It can't be changed. So because every soul is Ancha Bhagawan, who is himself Anand, every soul naturally desires Anand. So, how do we resolve this problem? We desire happiness. That desire for happiness causes us to get attached in the world. That attachment gives rise to desire, and those desires create many, many problems for us. Can we remove this desire for happiness? No, because it's our nature. It would be impossible for anyone to stop desiring happiness. Even people who do things that harm themselves are doing it for happiness. They're using drugs, they're using alcohol. That's harming their body, harming their mind. But still, in that moment of using that thing, they're experiencing some form of happiness. We call it tamas happiness. It's the lowest form of enjoyment. But nonetheless, if you ask them, why are you doing this? They'll say, for happiness. Let's say someone is evil-minded. So they're going out of their way to cause harm to others. Why are they doing that? Is that also for happiness? Yes. Khalan hridaya atikap visekhi jarani sada parasampati dekhi. An evil-minded person's heart burns when they see someone else's success or prosperity. Oh, look at him. There he goes, big millionaire. Yeah, I should do something to harm him. Then I'll feel better. If he has some disaster, I'll feel better. So there are people like that in the world who just try to harm others, but they're also doing it for happiness. It's wrong, but their goal is still happiness. Everything we do is for happiness. Even crying is for happiness because that takes out the pain. Laughing is for happiness. Sleeping is for happiness. Eating is for happiness. Everything we do is for happiness. So we can never think of removing the desire for happiness. However, we can correct the area that we're seeking happiness. There's actually two areas, potentially, where a soul could seek happiness. Because there are three tattva, three existences. Ajametam lohita shukla krishnam bahvi praja srijamanam sarupa ajo hyeko jushamano nushete jahatenam bhukta bhoga majonya. Shvetashvatara Upanishad tells us there are three things that exist. One is us, the souls, one is Bhagawan, and one is the world made by Maya. So we can say Brahma, Jeev, These are the three eternally existing tattva. An entity, a thing that exists. There's no fourth thing. All whatever exists is included in these three. Maya, the whole world, the whole universe. Souls, uncountable in number, infinitesimal in size, and whatever is alive has a soul. That's the second tattva. And then Bhagawan, all-encompassing Bhagawan, who gives life to the souls and who also activates Maya. So souls and Maya are dependent upon God, but all three are eternally existing. So if we understand that there are three tattva and we're one of them, and we're seeking happiness, then we have two areas in which to seek it. We can seek it from the Maya world, or we can seek it from God, Bhagavan. Everything I've described until now is that process of seeking happiness in the Maya world. And today I explained in quite some detail, scientifically, that there's no actual substantial happiness in any person or thing in this Maya world. But substantial happiness does exist. Substantial means, like matter. This is substantial, right? It's an actual concrete thing. Happiness does not exist substantially in this world. I explained that it's based on our thinking. There's no happiness in a person, even if we think we're getting happiness from them. It's based on our positive attachment to that person. So there's no substantial happiness or unhappiness in Maya. Maya is not the form of happiness. Maya is not the form of unhappiness. Maya is just a lifeless energy that takes the shape of this universe and has a certain nature of change in a cyclical fashion, and good and bad things that give comfort or pain. But there's no actual substantial happiness or unhappiness in anything in this world or in any person. However, God is Anand. I just explained that. That means He is, substantially speaking, He is happiness. What is He made of? Happiness. He is Satchit Anand. That's if you analyze anything in this world, you can get its chemical structure, its chemical formula. Like water is H2O. And you know that, there's two hydrogen and one oxygen. And then you can analyze on a deeper level how is the hydrogen is one proton, one neutron, one electron. And the oxygen has 8 and 6, and you can analyze it on that level, and what is its structure? What is it made of on an atomic level? So, although we cannot analyze God scientifically with our material science, but scriptures and divine saints have explained that God also has a chemical formula. Sat Chit Anand. You want to know what is God made of? He's made of Anand. And that Anand is qualified as being Sat. That means perfectly stable and everlasting. Not a figment of anyone's imagination, but a fact. That's Sat. Chit, God is alive. And the real one, Anand. So the Sat and Chit are Visheshan, they're qualifiers. They're explaining how is the Anand, but the Anand is the main thing. So Bhagavan is substantially happiness. In this world, you can't go to the store and buy 1 liter of happiness. In the divine world, you can. It's an actual substance. Krishna himself is the very form of happiness. He has many forms. So Bhagavan himself is happiness. But we have always sought that happiness in this world, never in God. We believe in God, but did we ever actually understand the happiness of this world is illusory, it's self-imagined, but the real, everlasting, factual happiness is in God? Did we ever think that? No. Otherwise we would have gone there. Meaning we would have turned towards God to seek happiness. We can even say, we can give lectures saying there's no happiness in the world, there's only happiness in God. But that's like a parrot sitting on a branch who's a pet parrot. He sits on a branch in his house, whoever owns him. And the parrot has heard some spiritual discussions, some shastra going on in that house. So he's learned some words, and he's learned that there are sweet fruit in the jungle. So that parrot keeps saying, there's sweet fruit in the jungle, there's sweet fruit in the jungle. Keeps saying it over and over again. But does he fly to the jungle and eat those sweet fruit? No, because he doesn't understand the words he's saying. So we're like that. We can say, oh yes, I heard Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj's lecture. He says there's perfect happiness in God, not in the world. We can say, we can also tell others, but then why are we not turning our mind towards Krishna? Why are we still hitting our head against the wall, trying to find happiness in the same worldly things that we've been trying for our whole life and not succeeding, but we keep trying again and again and again? It's because hum jante hain, hum mante nahi. We intellectually know the philosophy, but we haven't accepted it on a deep level to the point that we would actually act on it. So this inner nature of desiring happiness is not wrong. This is our inherent nature. It cannot be changed. So there's nothing wrong with it. You shouldn't try to change it or stop it. Desiring happiness is who we are. But we can change the field of our search. Up until now, we've been going this way. Okay, I want happiness. I see the world in front of me. Sansar pratyaksh hai na? Bhagwan paroksh hai. We can't see God with these material eyes, but we can see the world. So we are first and foremost attracted to the world. Oh, why don't I try to find something here that will make me happy? That's natural. And left to our own devices, we would never know any better. We would just keep trying over and over again to find happiness in this world. But it's only because the saints and the scriptures give us the real knowledge that we can actually have a hope of turning our mind towards God. And when we hear this knowledge, it makes sense. And we say, yes, I do experience this in the world, this sense of no matter what I attain, it's never enough. I've never gotten the real happiness that would make me content forever. So it makes sense, it hits home. And we say, yes, that makes sense that true happiness would be in God. But since we can't see God, it takes initially faith. We can't see Krishna, we can't touch him, we can't smell him, we can't taste him, we can't hear him. We can't do all of that in the world. So we like the quick fix we get from the world. It's a bit of a longer journey thinking about getting happiness from Sri Krishna. We can't see him. We have to do some sadhana. We have to practice some bhakti, even to begin to experience Shri Krishna. Whereas in the world, it's like microwave dinner. You get it right away. You don't even have to chop anything. We know that cooking fresh is more healthy, right? But sometimes you don't care, oh, let me just microwave something quick. We want that instant gratification that we get from enjoying the world. I can see this right now. And it may not be real happiness, but who cares? It's something. It's better than nothing. And this talk of finding happiness in God, will be a long journey. It's time for that. Let me at least enjoy the world. So it takes that initial faith to say, yes, this philosophy is right. So now I want to move towards experiencing God. Initially, it makes sense, but eventually a person has to make the decision that, yes, this is what I want. Then they have to do some practice of sadhana to attain that. So, Jagadguru Shri Kripalji Maharaj says, Divyanand Pai Dinu Govind Radhe Jag Kamana Hai Jayana Bata De. These worldly desires will never end until you attain divine happiness. So the cure we're looking for, now we've come to the cure. We said the origin of all this problem is our desire for happiness. That leads to getting attached in the world and repeatedly desiring worldly things, and that gives rise to all the mental afflictions. So Kripalji Maharaj says if you were to actually attain divine happiness, then all of your worldly desires, attachments, everything would get cured. Because the original source is the desire for happiness. So if you fulfill that desire once and for all with the real divine happiness, this whole other side gets cleaned up immediately, finally, forever. So the cure is attain divine happiness. And how to do that? He says, Jag kamana hai shatru Govind Radhe Hari kamana bana ke mitra bana de. He says, don't try to eliminate your desires. Those desires, if they're directed in the wrong field, in other words, you're seeking happiness in the world, then it's going to lead to suffering, so those are your enemy. Those worldly desires are your enemy. But if you divert those same desires towards Shri Krishna, mitra banade, they become your friend, because desire is not wrong. Desire for Krishna is bhakti. So he's given us the ultimate solution, and he's given us the path to attain that. So tomorrow I'm going to expand on this point. That how do we have 5 kinds of desires: to see, taste, touch, hear, smell, something to make us happy. And it's those 5 desires that drive us towards the world all the time. So how do we divert those 5 desires towards Shri Krishna? This is the actual practice of bhakti. I'll explain how to do that tomorrow. Bolo Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. So now we'll have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan. Let's close our eyes and think of our relationship with Shri Krishna, that we are his ansh. So we are eternally related to him, we eternally belong to him. Our relationship with him is deeper than any relationship with any person that we can have in this world. So let us visualize him feel this connection to Him as we do some kirtan. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda, Radhe Radhe Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda. Radhe Radhe Govinda. Radhe 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 बोलो राधे गोविंद भगवान की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। जय जय श्री राधे। जय जय श्री राधे। जय जय श्री राधे। There are 2 days remaining in this lecture, only tomorrow and Thursday, so I hope you can all join us.